Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this evening's session. My name is Askia, and I'm one of the event planners for the Redmond Reactor Space. And before we get started today, I've got a few things I'd like to go over. So if you could take a moment and read our code of conduct. Basically, what that is saying is that we seek to provide a respectful environment for both our audience and presenters. We ask that you be respectful and engaged in the chat. We encourage engagement in the chat, but we ask that you please be mindful of your commentary. We ask you to remain professional, and if possible, please try to stay on topic. We'll definitely be sharing useful links throughout the chat, so please keep an eye out for that. And we want to let you know that this session is going to be recorded and will be available for on-demand viewing on the Microsoft Reactor YouTube channel in about 24 to 48 hours. That brings us to today's session, scheduled to run approximately 1 hour, and there'll be time for questions throughout. So with that said, I'd like to bring on our speakers.
Great, thanks, Kia, and welcome everyone. So from whichever time zone you're joining from, and this is going to be an interesting session. And I think, is this the third session, right, Martin?
I think it is, Anu. How are you doing? It is, in fact, the third session, yeah.
That's right. And I enjoyed moderating with you the second session, and now we are here to present the third session, which is around visualizing and analyzing your data using Power BI. So what do you think about Power BI?
I think it's pretty good. I know it wasn't one of my strong points a couple of years ago, but I've developed with the PL-300 certification and a group of other people I know, and I'm getting there. I know I'm getting there. I can now create dashboards, and thanks to the team at this event and so forth, it's all gone pretty well. And we've had a promotion, Anna. We've gone up from moderating the last session to presenting this one.
That's right. So it's like a gradual promotion, right? So, and also this is, I'm thoroughly enjoying this presentation because we are helping participants to get certified, right? So being myself as a Microsoft certified trainer and also a Microsoft MVP for data platform and AI, I really like to encourage people to take up certification. So before we delve into that, a quick introduction about myself for people who don't know about me. I'm Anupama Natarajan. You can call me as Anu, and I'm based in Wellington, New Zealand. And of course, closer to Martin, not exactly in the same country, but I think we meet regularly. We do a lot of presentations together. If you have to reach out to me post this session, here is my LinkedIn profile. Feel free to connect with me, and I love to discuss a lot about data platform related topics, including Power BI, Fabric, and so on. Of course, anything to do with AI too. So over to you, Martin.
Hey, thanks for that, Anu. So very similar background to Anu. I'm not based in Wellington, New Zealand. I'm based in Brisbane, Australia. But the SQL Power BI communities in Australia and New Zealand probably get together regularly for events, even though we are a long way apart. But anyway, I'm Martin. I've been a data platform MVP for over 10 years. Basically, my main background is in SQL Server, and over the last 5 years or so, I've come into Azure and Fabric and Power BI, and now we've got the Fabric ecosystem. It's great to be working, closely with the Power BI guys and the backend guys and learning off each other and things like that. I've got my LinkedIn profile up there. I've had a few LinkedIn messages off a few people who've watched some of our sessions in the past and gone on to pass like DP600, DP700 and PL300. So any questions you've got or anything like that, feel free to reach out to myself or Anu. We're happy to help. So what we got in store, Anu?
That's right. That's a great point that you made, Martin. Please let us know that once you pass the PL-300 certification, we'll be really happy to know about that.
Indeed.
Yeah. So a couple of things, Martin. We have people to support us too in this presentation, and I want to welcome our moderators, Amit and Arul Prakash. So these moderators are available to answer your questions. So if you have any questions, feel free to put that in the chat, and they will be able to respond to your questions. And also, don't worry, they'll be sharing some useful links that you can use it to prepare yourself for the certification. And what do you think, Martin? Do you think this is a live event or a recorded event?
Well, yeah, good point, Anu. This is live. It's going out streamed. Obviously, you're watching it on YouTube, but it'll be recorded and it'll be available for people to watch. But if you're on the live event, you're on the live event, basically. You can drop messages in the chat. You can ask questions, make comments, whatever you want. Please take advantage of that. We've got a team of people behind the scenes. We've just met 2 of them, answering questions and augmenting what we've got there. So that's good. So let's move to the next slide. Oh, who's this, Anu? A bit of an owl. Hey, Anu and Martin, can you tell us a SQL joke? Well, can I tell you a SQL joke? I was going to tell you a SQL joke, but I can't think of one because it's not well indexed. Oh, I know. not a great one, not a great one. But you know, I'm a humble DBA, Power BI guy, and you know, I'm not cut out for comedians. But what do you think, Anu?
No, that was good. That was good. Like if you haven't indexed it properly, then like us, when you're in a session like this, you won't be able to find the right one quickly.
Yeah. So have we got any discount vouchers in store for these exams, Anu?
We have, but before that, do you remember, Martin, when you first started using Power BI? I thoroughly remember because I think like 10 years back, and I think even I started using a little bit earlier when it wasn't even named as Power BI, but we had certain components available in Excel. You can remember the Power Query, the Power View, and which eventually in 2015, we had a product like Power BI, like a great visualization tool that was introduced to us. So it is Power BI's 10th birthday, Martin.
Yeah, I think it was yesterday. I remember seeing a comment on LinkedIn. I think it was from Gilbert from South Africa. He was saying exactly 10 years. So great stuff, Anna. Great stuff. It's gone really quick. And it's matured from an okay product into a first class visualization and data tool.
And right at the top of the Gartner quadrant. So we shouldn't be forgetting about that. So I think Power BI has come a long way along, and it is great to see that at the top of the Gartner quadrant. And also, there is going to be an event around celebrating the Power BI's 10th birthday. So just use this link, aks.ms/pbi10, or the QR code in order to participate in that. So moving on from that, yes, you talked about the discounts, right? So we have a 50% discount for the 3 exams, which is PL-300, DP-600, and DP-700. And the offer actually expires 31st of August. Supplies are limited. So you have to, if you're really keen in taking up the certification, which I recommend you to do so, just to jump on there and request for your voucher. And I think taking up a certification, it's just like an add-on, right? So yes, of course, you have the knowledge about these topics, like whether it's Fabric or Power BI, but I think the certification will provide you that validation too. So just quite interesting to know, so for the participants who are attending this live session, just share with us in the chat, how long you have been using Power BI for. So I have been using it from the get-go, and I told you even before that too. So when Power BI was in the early stages before 2015, but it would be we would be keen to know about others, so from how long you have been using Power BI for. Put your responses in the chat, and we would be great to see that.
Nice.
There is also a database contest for Power BI. So the competitions are always good. And so whether you are a seasoned Power BI professional, or if you're getting started with Power BI, show off your skills, because by attending these sessions and taking up the certification, along with that, participate in these like a contest, because I think we will be sharing shortly some of the Power BI reports that has been developed as part of the database contest that we had previously. So this is a great opportunity for you to showcase your skills, and also share how you can tell a story using Power BI. What do you think about that, Martin? It's always great to take a data set that's available open source and then try to come up with a story, right?
Oh, absolutely, Anna, absolutely. And there's many sites around. on the Microsoft ecosystem and other places where you can just get data sets, something you're interested in, maybe basketball, baseball, football, netball, whatever it is. Take the data set and have a play with it. Really encourage you to do that.
I love cricket, and I started initially when I started working on Power BI. I still remember that's the first data set I worked with, and it was great to see the especially the game that you love, you want to see the stats and you want to tell a story about that. It was really great use of Power BI for me to get learning about Power BI.
Cool. Yeah, so we've got some Microsoft conferences coming up. Before I go on to talk about these, I just noticed some people in the chat commenting they've got 10 years experience, 8 years experience, a couple of newbies. Whatever experience you've got, I would encourage you to enter those competitions. But over to the annual Microsoft conferences. There seem to be 2 per year now, one in the USA and one in Europe. I've attended the one in the USA twice since it's been going, first and second year, and there's another one coming up very shortly.
I remember meeting you, Martin.
Yeah, we've both been over there. It's great to catch up. I mean, we live fairly close to each other, but we always catch up overseas, miles away from home. And
That's right.
What do you think of these conferences you've been to, Anu?
It was really great. And I think you mentioned that you have been attending this conference for the last couple of years, but this year was my first one, and I thoroughly enjoyed the US one. And it's a great opportunity. You get to meet all the Power BI team itself, the entire team from Microsoft was there. So, and also a great space to discuss, to meet your community members, to learn more about the certifications, and a lot of sessions, great sessions. I was able to attend, and I got the opportunity to even present. So I think, it is a great conference. I would definitely recommend participants to, if you didn't attend the US one, make an opportunity to attend the Europe one.
That's great, Anu. That's great. But this session we're presenting now, like you said, it's third in the series. But can we have a look? Is that on the next slide? Where this fits in the series?
Yes, here we are. And I think all these are basically the study areas that you need to prepare for taking up your PL-300 certification, which is the Power BI Data Analyst certification. So as you all know, the Microsoft certifications are role-based certifications these days. So the PL-300 actually puts you through as a Power BI Data Analyst if you have that certification. So we are currently on the third session, which is talking about visualizing and analyzing data using Power BI. I think my favorite topic. I think the last couple of sessions they talked about how do you bring the data into Power BI, how you model the data to Power BI, and now it is time. Now you have got everything ready. So how do you put that into visuals, and then how you can start analyzing your data? And of course, there are a couple more sessions following us that is coming through. So don't miss them too, because all these sessions will help you to prepare for your PL-300 certification.
Great stuff, Anu. So let's get started on visualizing and analyzing your data with Power BI. So we're ready to do what I guess our clients and that see. The finished dashboard, the visualization, that they ignore all the hard work that's gone on behind the scenes, the modeling that we've seen last time, and just look at the visualization and go, wow, that makes the project brilliant. But we all know there's a lot more to it than that. So what are we going to look at as part of this session today? Obviously, a bit of an overview of PL-300. And design and implementing the data model. We talked about that in depth last time, and the 2 guys from South America, Javier and Gaston, made a great job of doing that. But now we'll talk about creating the model and calculations using DAX, optimizing model performance, and some practical tips. The exam itself is broke down into 4 main stages. We've got preparing skills using Power BI, we've got modeling data, and we've got visualize and analyze data using Power BI. That's what we're talking about today. And in there, we've got creating reports, exploring the data. So you can use the visualizations tools to explore the data layout. You know, how many unique values have we got in here? What sort of skew have we got on the data? So, you know, we're not just looking at presenting it to a client. Obviously, you can sit in front of your little code station and type away things, but you can also do it visually through Power BI. So, what else have we got in store, Anu?
So I think, yeah, you touched upon that really well, Martin. Like the point is like the last two sessions, like we were spending more time around like how do I get the data from different data sources? How do I model the data? And don't take me wrong, those are really the foundation for today's session. So I think it was great that it was covered before us because it's quite easy to say like, it's easy to build visuals in Power BI. But there is a lot of work involved in terms of preparing the data so that you can make your visuals looking good and also giving you the right information. But saying that, like we will be talking about the first topic, which is creating reports using Power BI. Even though I mentioned like creating using visuals in Power BI is going to be very straightforward, but you have to put your thinking hat. So you have to think about a lot of aspects when it comes to visualization. So even though we talk about data cleansing and data transformation modeling, they're all behind the scenes, right, Martin? What we are putting in terms of report is what the people are going to get to see.
Exactly, I know, exactly.
So the first thing that when you are thinking about building a visualization in Power BI is identifying like what is the right visual for the right problem. So there are many type of visuals that you have got within Power BI. So if you look at the visualization pane in Power BI, pretty much you will be able to get to see a variety of visuals like whether you want to create a bar chart or whether you want to create a pie chart or whether it's a table visual like the one you are seeing here, or whether it is like a matrix visual. So variety of visuals are there. But how do you
And there's a
decide
lot of
on?
choice. There's a
Yeah,
lot of
that's
choice,
right.
I know.
And that's where the confusion comes in, right? And what should I
Exactly,
use?
exactly. So over the last 10 years of Power BI, we've watched that sort of all those visuals grow from some, you know, some basic ones, matrices, tables we've got displayed there into a lot more choice. And obviously people are creating their own ways to visualize data and making them available too.
That's right. So I think first thing you have to pay attention for is the choosing the right visual. So for am I going to present this information, which is like am I going to present sales like what is the total sales amount versus on a particular for a particular period of time. So what is the best visual I can use it here? And one thing I have noticed is a lot of people love the pie chart. Don't take me wrong, it is good. But sometimes when I see a pie chart like with the slices like almost 100 slices in a pie chart, then probably that's not the right visual that you should be using for that particular problem. So it's always good to go and look at exactly what is the right visual to use for the right problem that you are trying to showcase.
Yeah, you make a really good point there, Anu, about the pie charts. I think when I've seen pie charts previously, you know, if there's only say 2, 3, 4, 5 values, pie chart's great. But when you've got, like you say, hundreds of values, probably not the right choice, and maybe another one would be more appropriate.
That's right. And also start thinking about refining it. And again, the next part is like formatting. So Power BI allows you to format your visuals really well. So you can add titles, and sometimes I even try to add subtitles in order to showcase. So if you look at this here, it talks about the total superstore sales for 2020 and 2021. Straight away, when people are looking at this data, by looking at the title and the subtitles, they know exactly what is this visual is all about. They don't need to interpret by looking at the values. And the next part is also the colors and the label. So the font sizes, what is the type of font that you want to use to make it really appealing for your users? They are also play an important role when it comes to formatting your visuals. And the last point to keep in mind is to avoid the clutter. So have you seen Power BI reports, Martin, like where it has got too many visuals in the same page?
Yeah. I've seen plenty like that. In fact, I used to be respond. What basically that was something I used to do when I first got into Power BI. It's like, wow, I can do all these different kind of visuals. Let's put many on the page. But at the end of the day, as well as, you know, your presentation looking appealing, like visually appealing, like you're saying, you do want to convey what the visual is trying to do, what data is it trying to get across. And if you've got too much on the page, it can be confusing or take your take your interest away to an area that's maybe not appropriate. So keep it simple. I guess that's the phrase we all use.
Yeah, thanks, Martin, because I was about to say the same thing. Like, we all make that same mistake. So try to put a lot of visuals on the same report just to showcase, like, oh, we have a lot of information to share with people, but that's not the right way to do that. So I think on an average, like if you exclude the slices and other things, maybe 4 to 5 visuals on a report page, that should be sufficient enough, like because otherwise the report becomes really overwhelming for the people who are utilizing it.
Yeah,
And here you
exactly.
go.
And you made a good point there about fonts as well, I know. And I
Right.
guess consistency of fonts, just consistency in general as we go through all of these graphics.
And look at this example, right? So this is just a plain table that you have got, but once you add a bit of formatting and the colors to that, like it makes the report itself makes it, the visual itself makes it easy for people to understand. So you don't need to drill down to read line by line to understand what is happening in here. So here you can see the sales, whether the sales is on higher or lower with the straight away with the visuals and colors, you will be able to recognize it.
Yeah, that's a
And
good point. I mean, the colors and the charts, that they catch your attention. Like, you know, it's
right.
giving you kind of the same information that was in the bland table, but straight away you can look at this and you can say, oh, the gray bars, some of them are big, some of them are small. What do the colors mean? The colors might mean something. And then once that's got your attention, you can drill down into the actual numbers.
Excellent. So that's what we are talking about. So choosing the right visual and also like formatting the visual to make it really appealing for your end users. And of course, like these are simple things to do in Power BI. So it's just more around, sometimes we tend to miss these things. And especially like I'm not a great UI person, Martin, let me be honest, but I think Power BI helps me to become like a great UI person. So when people look at my reports, they think like, oh, you have done a good job. I said, okay, kudos goes to Power BI, because for making people like me who are a back-end person to build
Yeah.
really cool reports and dashboards. And the
Yeah,
other thing is
we're
around,
all trying.
that's right. And the other thing is around the themes. The part, like the themes are nothing, but most of the times, like when I go to a lot of consulting organizations, they give me their brand colors and they say like, oh, we want the Power BI reports to use our brand colors, and so that we have got the consistent theme across all our reports as well as the dashboards that we have got. And that's where the themes comes into the picture. So you can use any of the built-in themes that are available within Power BI, or you can import, you can create your own theme, like by taking the colors from the organization's branding document, and then you can utilize those colors and apply that branding to your reports. I think this is one of the constant requirement for any organizations that you go to. So you can apply that. And that is a website called Power BI Tips. Have you used that website, Martin? So Power
I
BI
have used
Tips.
that website, Anu, and I think it's a really good source of information. And there's some
That's
free
right.
stuff on there you can use, and yeah, it's great.
Cool. So I would recommend you to jump onto Power BI Tips if you haven't visited that website. A lot of tips and tricks around, like you can even build your own themes, because we have to create a JSON file that will help you in order to create your themes file. And also like a lot of templates. So when you have a Power BI report, one of the things that you can think of is how are you going to lay out your visuals? Like, are you going to go for a 2-column or a 3-column? Where am I going to put the slices? Is it going to be on the left, or is it going to be on the top? These are the things that you can get some ideas using the Power BI templates that are available on the Power BI Tips website. So highly recommend to check that. Conditional
Yeah.
formatting. Yeah, any other point, Marin?
Oh no, I was just going to say, and just like looking around at what other people do, like, you know, there's plenty of examples on the web of people who've put the dashboards up, but I'm just looking at them and saying, oh, that's a really good way of doing things. People have spread that out well.
Is this the
Kind of can
one
be
you are
applauded,
talking?
really. Yeah.
Is this the one you're talking about, Martin?
It is. Yeah, you found that pretty quick, Anna. Well, very well done. Yes, yeah, lots of good examples on here. People, just ordinary people have put things up. Some of these are fantastic, like, I know they might appear a bit more small on your screen at the moment, but different ways that people have found of conveying messages that the data supports.
That's right. So if you look at this visual, like as I said, so these are some of the visuals that the reports that has been put as part of the data viz competition. So as you can see here, like there is no clutter. The visuals are well organized. They have chosen the right visuals to display the right things. And this is what I talked about, right? There is no need for putting a lot of visuals to make really to clutter your reports. Just to keep that really clean. And that's what I wanted to highlight. And there are a lot of examples in here, especially with the Power BI. So the previous versions of the data viz competition. So these are the dashboards that the participants have created. So you can actually like get a lot of ideas around what type of Power BI reports that you can create using these templates, and also like what to do and what not to do. So that it's a great website to learn about that.
It is indeed, I know it is indeed. And you make a good point there, because sometimes less is more, so to speak. You just want to get the data and display it. But you made another good point there about data viz competitions, and there was some at the events in Las Vegas early this year, and I'm sure there'll be one in Vienna. I went along to those not because I am a data viz guy. I just wanted to see what the quality that those people can convey on the screen, and what Power BI can do, and just learning off people. And this applies to technology in general. Just seeing what your peers do and what is available is a really good way of learning. I mean, you don't really have to sit down and churn through lots and lots of documentation. Learning by example is one way, and there's obviously that complements a lot of other ways of learning as well.
And the people who participated in this competition, like if you're looking for data, like there is a lot of publicly available data that you can use to build your reports and dashboards. So yeah, so you can't give that as a reason to say like, oh, I don't have the data, because there is a lot of data available. If you haven't looked at the data viz competition, I would recommend you to do so. Just even participating will help you to learn more about Power BI.
Good stuff, Anu. Good stuff.
Coming back to some of what are the things that you can do with your reports. The next thing I really like about is the conditional formatting. In the previous report, when I was showing, I showed the colors to show whether the sales was in the increase or a decrease. But it was highlighted like, okay, if you have a dark color, then probably like you have got a really positive side of the sales. Like when you have a light color, basically like, okay, less amount of sales, or the negative side of the sales. So I think you can use colors to differentiate that. And that's where the conditional formatting comes in to highlight some of the key metrics. If you haven't tried that, especially in using in your table visuals and stuff, I would definitely highly recommend you to do that. And also keep your visuals emphasize important. So for instance, like these data labels, if you notice, like instead of giving just the bars there, if you highlight like what is the values associated with that straight away, like people don't need to do any guesses. So just keep it right there. And if you have any sort of like so this is our median point or something, highlight that in the visual, because then it makes it really easy for people to understand what you're trying to convey, or where you stand in terms of when you have a target or something that has been already set.
Yeah, consistency is a key there. I like that visual, you had labels on one side and numbers on the other. It was all consistent. So that's a good tip.
That's right. And also like use slicers and try to apply filters on the page, because we were talking about, right, sometimes showing like 100 values or something, it may be really overwhelming. So then you can just look at like, okay, what is the different ways that you can slice and dice that information, and you can show that in the visual. And that's where like filters and slicers come into picture. So slicers are something that you can add on the visual itself, like that, so that you can allow the users to make the report a bit more interactive. So we also have a filter pane, like where you can pre-filter some of the things for the report, and also give the ability for people, if they want to, use the filter pane to adjust their filters. So what do you think, Martin? Like, do you use slicers a lot?
Well, I guess that, I guess they're a pretty fundamental part of examining data. If you're looking at a report and you're going, I want to see my sales above $1 million, or I want to home in on my sales that fell between, $500,000 and $1 million, then obviously giving the person who's using your visual, your dashboard, the ability to do that is pretty fundamental. For example, you might have, I don't know, you might have 1,000 rows in your table, and you're only interested in like filtering down to a few. So if you apply your filters and it reduces down to maybe 10, 15 rows, and you can home in on data. And obviously sorting, you want to see maybe your results from lowest to highest, or highest to lowest, or whatever it is. So although it may seem a pretty fundamental concept to say, yeah, you should slice and filter your data, I think that you make good points here with the configuration of the page and how it behaves in general, and the options that you've got.
And also, like, key things to note down is, like, you can apply the filters and also the slicers. So you can apply the slicers just on one report or across multiple pages within the same report, or you can even apply the scope. So that's what we call it as the filter scope. So you can apply the filter just for one visual or multiple visuals on the same page, or like for the entire report. So you can configure it. So for instance, if I have a report with 4 pages, and I want to just look at the sales information for United States. So what I can do is I can set up a report level filter there. So which means all the pages will be inheriting that filter. Or if I have only one page where I have to filter it by United States, then I can apply it as a page filter. Or if I have one particular visual that I have to filter it by United States, then I can apply the visuals filter. So understanding the filter scopes is also really important. So that will help you in terms of how to make it much more easier for users to look at your reports.
Yeah, that comes back to the consistency thing again. I know, the page acts consistently, but you've got the option to do something individually.
That's right. And also, like, the layout of the report is also equally important, setting the page size. And also, like, as I said, right, whether you want to have a 3-column or a 2-column, where am I going to put my slices, how many visuals I'm going to organize in the page. So these are the things fundamentally I'll be thinking about when it comes to report design, even before I touch the before the Power BI report itself. So some people do their prototyping in Power BI. Some people use other tools like a wireframing tool to even get their design before they get into Power BI. What is your preference, Martin? Do you use any wireframing tool, or I use Power BI straight away, even for my prototyping?
Yeah. I actually do tend to use Power BI straight away, even for my prototyping. And I might iterate through things. I mean, a report might take me 2 or 3 or even more iterations. My skills actually do lie more on the back end, but Power BI, I use it to explore data. And I'm probably looking for a bit of help of my colleagues when it comes to aesthetics.
Yeah, for me, it's all about the colors, because that's where it will trap me. So that's where I use. Yeah, I always look for Power BI tips to go and give me, okay, what are the colors? Like if they have a branding already, my job is I don't need to worry about the colors, because the colors are set. But sometimes, especially with the competition like database, right? So where you have that flexibility to choose your colors, that's where I will be saying, because I have a tendency to always go for dark colors. But sometimes what I get to see is that even the right light color shades are really great on reports. So if you are like me and are not sure about what colors to use, I would say there are a lot of color palettes and tools that are available in the Power BI tips website. So you can really look at what are the primary colors and what are the alternate colors that you can use in your Power BI reports for that. So great website. I would recommend you to check that. So the next thing is visual calculation. So if you are thinking about doing some calculations, of course, you can use DAX. In the previous session that you have been introduced about the DAX calculation, so you can pretty much use that even in your visualizations. And I really like this part, like where I can see the visual, but also I can see the data associated with that visual at any point in time. And so if you haven't explored that, what you can do is you can enlarge your visual, and also you can see, show me the data that is feeding this visual, and Power BI has got the ability to show that.
And I like that comment now, Anu. Try and keep your DAX simple.
Right.
I guess like the comment we made before, keep it simple. Don't go too complicated.
And there are some sometimes where you have requirements where your reports need to be in a particular format. Like this is like a standardization so that your reports can be printable. So Power BI is a great tool in terms of helping you to create reports in an interactive fashion. You can engage with those reports. But sometimes, like as you know, like some C-level executives, they prefer the reports to be emailed to them in a particular format. And that's where the paginated reports comes into play. So if you have a template and you have to just to generate the report in that particular template, I like the word like pixel perfect. And if you want to print it in that format, then paginated reports is your option to go with. And again, this is also supported with Power BI. Okay,
Great
so now
stuff,
it's time to talk about usability and storytelling.
Yeah. So let's talk about enhancing the reports and the usability for storytelling. And this section is basically about making your reports not just functional, but intuitive and engaging. And you're going to need them skills to convey your report intention to the user. There's some DAX involved here, and that's obviously the formula language of Power BI. It allows you to do things like creating calculated columns, measures, tables, calculated tables, that sort of thing. So remember, as well as this, there are DAX skills on the exam, and they are tested. Things like creating aggregate measures. The calculate function, that's like the tool people use all the time in DAX. So implementing time intelligence is another. Basic statistical functions, measures, semi-additive measures, additive measures, quick measures, calculated tables, and also calculation groups. So let's have a look at the next slide. Oh, you've got it up, Anu. Bookmarks and tooltips and interactions. So bookmarks to create guided experience. So you can use various bookmarks to guide an experience through your set of reports.
And this is really handy, right? Because suppose like if you want to redirect people directly when they launch the report, you want them to particularly jump onto a particular visual in a report, you can create bookmarks. Like you can have a home page and then you can straight away create a bookmark there. So rather than them trying to go and find out, so you can highlight some of the key visuals, mark them as bookmarks so that you can take them directly to that particular report page. So really cool.
Great stuff. And bookmarks, they are a powerful way to guide users through the story, whether it's a product launch, dashboard, a quarterly review, or whatever it is. And they help you have that control of your visuals. You can add custom tooltips, and tooltips are a really good way of if a user intuitively doesn't know what something does, hovering over it. We see these tooltips on the web and in other software around the place, and you can obviously implement those in Power BI too. So the whole toolbox, if you like, combines to help us convey stories and the meaning of the data to the end user without them having to sit down and type SQL in or whatever. Just visual displays that are nice and intuitive for the end user.
So one of the tip I wanted to add on the tooltip side is like you can just show a normal text in the tooltip, or even you can show a visual in the tooltip. So sometimes
good point,
when you mouse over it, if you want to show like rather than showing some text, if you want to show like a small visual like a bar chart or a pie chart, you will be able to show which is something related to that particular row. So this is something to keep in mind. You are not restricted just with the text when it comes to tooltips.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And now, are we going to talk about navigating and sorting, Anu?
Yes, I think we talked about bookmarks and visualization. So there you go. Here is the navigation and sorting, Martin.
Yeah, that's cool. So like navigation is about like making your report feel like an app. We've seen web pages that are fairly basic, but we want our reports that we display to be kind of quite interactive for the end users. So we've seen you can use bookmarks, but you can use buttons, and they can help your users, move between the different pages of the report, so that the report doesn't have to be just one single page. You can have multiple pages that the user can click through without needing to scroll. Maybe you've got 3 reports that are just, or 3 pages that are just one report screen, and you can click through different pages rather than making a user scroll or something like that. Because although scrolling is another small part, but it might be a bit of a cumbersome feature. Sorry, Anu. Sorry, you go.
No, that's the right thing that you mentioned about because sometimes people think like a Power BI report is just a single page, which is not the case. So you can have a collection of pages within the Power BI report, and that's where the navigation, the bookmarks, and things comes into play. Because when you have a number of report pages, so you have to guide the users to navigate what is the best way to navigate between those pages, or if you want to take them directly to a particular visual, which may be in the 4th or 5th page, by having bookmarks, you will be able to do that. So how you are designing, when you are thinking about designing your visuals, you need to also think about, designing your navigation system. So how you want the people to navigate through your reports within Power BI. So just I wanted to highlight that, because sometimes like even in the exam, you need to know, right? Like there are more than one page that you can create within a report.
Oh, you definitely do need to know some of these things for the exam. Like we just talked about scrolling, and that might be a small but mighty feature. It is on the exam. You might be asked to how you would sort a matrix or interact with a bar chart. And another thing, there are practice exams available on the web, but just some other features for navigating and sorting. You've got buttons for page navigation and bookmarks we've talked about, and different kind of visuals to make a high impact for different data pieces there.
Yeah, that's a good point, Martin. Like if you take this particular slide itself, you can see that image of a bug. So like, see, these images can also be used. So it's not that it's always need to be text or visual. Like if you want to enhance your reports using images or icons, you can feel free to do that, because that is going to enrich the look and feel of your reports.
Yeah, good stuff. But one thing I did want to talk about, accessibility. I think it's on the next slide, Anu.
Yes, it is coming through.
And so Anu's made point before talking about colors, and I've mentioned fonts, and all these things that users look at. But remember, some people see colors in different ways. And designing for accessibility, the alt text, those tooltips that we talked about, a tab order, so you can tab around the different visuals, and the contrast of the display.
So it's an important thing that you touched upon, Martin, around accessibility. I think luckily, when I started my career in New Zealand, I was working for building websites for government. So accessibility is a key thing for government, especially when you're designing websites. You have to keep that in your mind around. So as you pointed out, so all the type of people who will be accessing your website. Similarly, in our case here, all the different type of people will be accessing your reports. So you have to design the reports keeping them in your mind. So don't just use colors is the only way of differentiating things.
Yeah, cool. And remember, people, as well, your report might not be displayed on one particular screen size. It might be need to be mobile layout. It needs to be responsive, and there's different types of layouts and responsiveness. But enough for this section, Anu. What have we got in store next?
I think just one more point to add on accessibility. Sorry, this is a topic that is so close to my heart, and that's why I just wanted to add a bit more in here. Just on that, the tab order and the alternate text, which Martin talked about, why it is really important. Mainly, most of the people who have got some sort of like disabilities, they use screen readers. So screen readers are basically specific software used for them. So when they are using screen readers and trying to access the reports, that is going to help them. So the tab order, the alternate text, that is going to help them to guide around what is actually there in the visual. So it will be able to convey that to them. And also tab order is really good. And you have to set the tab order in what way, in what order they have to go through the visual. So that is something to keep in mind. Cool. With that note, like let us jump on to the next topic, which is how do I use Power BI to identify patterns and trends out of my data? So we talked about how do we build cool visuals and stuff, right? But and also like how you take accessibility into consideration. But now we can move on to saying like, okay, if I have to find out patterns in the data or if I have to analyze the data, what built-in tools that are available within Power BI? So Power BI will help you to do exploratory analysis. So what it means is like if you want to identify any sort of anomalies in your data, or if you want to discover trends or some sort of patterns in your data, you will be able to do that. So there are built-in tools that are available. So if you navigate your Power BI report and you click on Analyze, and this is mainly on the Power BI service, you will be able to analyze your data. You can group the data. You can bin is nothing but putting them into different categories. You can cluster the data. So you will be able to do a variety of things in terms of doing analysis of your data using Power BI. So Power BI is not just like saying, oh, I can use it only for visualization purposes. So if you want to do data analysis, you will be able to easily do that using these built-in tools that are there.
Yeah, I'd encourage everyone to get to know the data analysis tools of Power BI. They're often overlooked, but they are a part of the exam, Anu.
That's right. So keep in mind to explore these type of tools, like how you can get the Power BI itself will give you analysis of your data. So if you point a visual to say, give me analyze this visual, it is going to tell you like in terms of what it found in terms of the key things around about that visual. And also like you can use AI. So of course, like coming from an AI background, so I always love to use AI in my visuals. And if I can apply that in Power BI, that is great. And that's Power BI already supports that. So smart narrative is one of the cool thing I really like about Martin.
Yeah. It's brilliant that you bring this AI stuff up, Anu, because Power BI does include several AI powered visuals, and right, they can help you go beyond the basics and kind of uncover deeper insights inside your data.
That's right. So smart narrative is you can give a visual and it is going to give you a narration about the visual itself. Like for instance, whether your sales has been high or low, what it actually infer out of that visual. And then you have got the key influencers visual, which is what you're seeing in here. So you can see who are the key influencers here. So for instance, like the California city has got the average sale increase by this much amount. So it gives you that metrics in a well represented way. Some things which you don't discover, Power BI will help you to discover out of the data using the AI visuals. The decomposition tree is another one, which is a pretty cool visual I really like about. So that is also, I would say, it gives you the hierarchical way of looking at your data. So
yeah, and
if you want,
remember, Anu, sorry to remember, we've got other visuals like smart narrative. We've got Q&A. They may be asked about on the exam. And you can apply forecasting and reference lines to charts. So make sure, our audience drill into them.
That's right. So Q&A visual is another cool thing. So everyone talks about Gen AI these days, right? So ask a question in natural language text, you get a response. I think we had it in Power BI, like even before the Gen AI wave came into the picture.
Yeah.
So we had Q&A in Power BI where you can ask a question in natural language text or like just on the report, and then Power BI will be able to provide you a response. The response will be again a visual. So if you ask for like, okay, give me the sales for 2011, it is going to plot the sales over 2011, and it can give you a bar chart or whatever type of chart that you're really looking for. So that's where I think mainly great for C-level executives, like if they want to get insights out of their Power BI reports.
Yeah, that's right, Anu. And I think finding, outliers, anomalies, that type of thing, that they're a pretty interesting story, and that they're often brought up as examples. Stories how you can find those sort of things within your data, and things like this in Power BI. It makes it easier for you to spot with things like built-in anomaly detection.
That's right. So if you look at here, like, this is the actuals and this is what the forecast is. So you can do forecasting, as Martin mentioned. Similarly, like if you have a pattern, this is how the pattern, which is your gray color, like lines that you're seeing here. But the blue ones are basically saying like, okay, there are some anomalies that you can notice here, which is deviating from the regular pattern that you have been expecting. So these type of visuals that you can pretty much use in Power BI, and straight away it tells more about your data, and that's what really important for you to understand.
It is indeed, I know. And I think the exam might ask things like, how do you enable anomaly detection, or how do you interpret error bars, things like confidence intervals, or how do you use these tools in general? So they're worth paying attention to.
That's right. So one of the things I would also recommend before we jump onto the quick tips is like, as I said, take some sample data. So there is a lot of data publicly available that you can use. And sometimes, like, I even recommend people to use their own data. So as I said, I kickstarted like with the data from cricket because I like the sport. The other thing also I did was like my own finances. So I take my bank statements, like I export that into CSV files and then get that so that I can get a trend analysis about my spend. So I don't need to go for data anywhere. So I can just get it from my own bank account, and I can just get there. And sometimes it is when I started plotting it on Power BI, that's when I realized how much I was spending, and then I was able to control my spend also.
Yeah, nice stuff, Anu. Nice stuff. So myself and Anu have took many Microsoft exams over the years, but obviously we're focusing here on PL-300. So let's go have a look at some quick tips about passing the exam. So hands-on practice, that's a great one. Obviously, watching videos like this, other videos are on YouTube. That's obviously, you get tips and tricks off people who know the products well, and that's all good stuff. But getting hands-on practice and just experimenting, doing things wrong, correcting them, looking things up, how do you do this? That's a great way of learning. Study guides, they're on the Microsoft site, and Annie's mentioned other sites like Power BI Tips. You've got the SQL BI site. You've got many sites that specialize in Power BI where you can go and get really good tips. Practice tests. Annie, have you looked at any of the practice tests? I know they've been really good for me. Just wonder if you've ever looked at any.
Yes, definitely, because the assessment test is something which I normally take. So basically, we have assessment tests that are available that you can use to take up before you go for and take up the actual Microsoft certification exam. Because what these practice tests will allow you to do is like to test your knowledge, whether you are ready to take up the certification. So it is more or less validating yourself, whether is there any areas that I have to improvise before I take up the real certification, or am I good to go? So normally if I score around 85% and above, I think I know like I'm ready to take up the certification exam, Martin. So I really take up the assessment test.
Yeah. I do think they're valuable. Like, I mean, some people might look at these and think some of the questions are a bit basic, and some of the questions are a bit more advanced. But even the basic questions, get you to think about how you might implement something. It's something you think is completely obvious, but you might have overlooked a little detail. So just going through them, putting aside maybe an hour or two to like, I'm going to go through these 50 questions, whatever it is. I'll just go through them all one by one, even if I'm well up on whatever it is. I think that's definitely got value. So other things you can do, there's Microsoft Learn courses out there. You can go to the Power BI PL-300 page and you'll find courses on there. But another thing that we've touched on as well, Anna, we've talked about getting data sets off the web. There's plenty of sample projects, and you've showed a few with the dashboards that was on the site you had up earlier.
That's right. So I think this is the one I was showing. Like, so make sure to visit the contest gallery that's available. So they not only like you get the ideas of how to build a really great Power BI reports, but also like you can also see what type of data sets that people have been using and from where they have been getting it from. So I would highly recommend that for you to visit this, especially before when you're trying to design Power BI reports. Visit this website, get some ideas like, okay, how the layout has been considered, and also like what are the things that you can really do with Power BI. Because everyone thinks like, okay, these are the visuals that you can do. There are built-in visuals in Power BI. There are custom visuals in Power BI. So you won't even know like, oh, does these visuals exist? So by looking at these sample reports, what people have put through, and these are high quality Power BI reports, so that you can have a look through that and you can get some inspiring ideas from there.
Yeah, good stuff, I know. So basically, to sum this slide up, we've got a whole host of points on here about prepping for the exam. But, take these holistically, have a look at them all, the hands-on practice, the study guides. You probably will struggle to pass the exam just looking in isolation at, say, one of these, like just trying to learn off YouTube videos or just trying to learn off documentation. You really probably need that hands-on practice. And I'd really encourage you to get that. Download some data sets, make a report. Doesn't matter, you sit in the privacy of your own home. Doesn't matter if you're good at it, bad at it. But that's how you learn with anything, making mistakes, moving on, passing the exam, getting confidence. So that's all I've really got to say on this. Anna, have you got anything to add before we move on and maybe close this out?
Yeah, this is the Power BI tips website, and mainly like because I told you, right, some of us like may not be great in colors, like what is the color I have to choose, or how do I build my own theme if I have been given some branding colors. So this is the website I was talking about. So you can just create your own color palette. Like you can just choose the colors. It will give you the alternate colors that you can use. So especially if you are not sure about what colors to use, this is the great place to come and look at choosing your primary color and also figuring out what are the alternate colors that you can use with that. So really valuable to check this website.
Good stuff, Anu. Good stuff. So what can't we miss? What is going on in the community and likewise with Power BI? We've got Power BI's 10th birthday. I think it was yesterday, but we can go on celebrating maybe for the next year.
That's right.
Yep, we got a 50% discount voucher for PL-300, but also DP-600 and DP-700, which are fabric exams.
Don't forget it is expiring August 31st. So get that soon, get it prepared, and take up the exam.
Very good point, Anu. A very good point. I'm glad you brought that up. We've got the Data Viz contest. That ends July the 16th. So it's time to get data vizzing, creating them reports, and getting them in. We've got FabCon in Vienna coming up in September 15th to 18th. We got some codes there you can use to get better value for your ticket. And let's just recap, Anna, with where we are in the series.
Sure. Just one more thing on the Data Viz contest is like the contest gallery, which I showed you. These are some of the reports that the previous contestants have produced. So I think I would definitely recommend you to participate in the Data Viz contest, even if you are in the beginner stage of Power BI, because it will help you to build your confidence in building really great Power BI reports.
Yeah, and I think that's important in any aspect of IT or life in general, building your confidence. And as your confidence grows, you experiment more, and it's kind of cyclical. You just grow with it growing confidence. So we've just recapped on the third section, which is visualize and analyze Power BI. Obviously, right. part of a bigger series. Next week, July the 2nd and 3rd. Why have we got two dates? Because sometimes the dates in, people at one side of the date line. We are in Australia and New Zealand, we're the other side. So, two dates, but it's the same time. And the next one we've got off the blocks, Anu, is Manage and Secure Power BI.
That's right. Another cool thing also, did you notice the series also available in Spanish and Portuguese? So it's not only available in English, but also like we have series available in other languages too. So that is something to be noted here. And don't miss the last session, which is the exam prep and QA, especially if you're planning to take up the PL-300 certification, which we would like you to do. So that is going to give you some more additional tips and tricks that you can take up on and for preparing for your certification.
Yeah, great stuff, Anu. Great stuff. All right. Well, it's been a pleasure presenting this along with Anu. Great to present with you as always. And
Same here,
stay
Martin.
tuned. Sorry. Yeah, stay tuned for the rest of the series and have a great time. So I'll say goodbye. Thank you for joining us. And I'll hand over to you to close it out, Anu.
Thank you. And thanks, Martin. And it's always a pleasure to present with you. And also thanks to our moderators who have been answering the questions in the chat. And I know there has been a lot of questions getting bombarded in the chat, but I think hopefully you would have enjoyed the session. And so just one more thing before we wrap up is take up the certification. As I said, it's really important to just add it as part of your portfolio, and also try to participate in the Data Viz competition. Build your Power BI portfolio. So one of the things I always recommend people is to build some sample dashboards that you can showcase to people about your skills, rather than us telling, yes, I can do reports in Power BI, just to show some sample reports that you have already built and add it to your portfolio. And yeah.
Good stuff, Anu. Catch you later.
All right. Thank you so much to Anu and Martin for an excellent session. We appreciate your time today, and we would love to hear any feedback that you have in regards to this session. So feel free, if you are so inclined, to take our survey, and you'll just want to reference today's event code, which is 25991. Once again, that is 25991. Thanks, and have a great day.